What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be continuing the top 5 series and looking at the top 5 skill champions. And I know quite a few of you have been badgering me to basically get on and make this video, but this one was very difficult because the skill class overall, and it's in a really good place. There are tons of strong champions. None of the champions are really super bad, apart from, I guess, Punisher. But when you pull Punisher as a 3 or 4 star champion out of an arena crystal, you're still pretty happy about that because, you know, it's a lot better than either 45 units or 10,000 gold, which are the other 2 top rewards. So yeah, I mean, you can't really fault Punisher. He's an alright champion to add to your roster, but in comparison to the other champions, he kind of sucks. Although every other champion I can think of a very decent use for in the game. So yeah, skill is a very strong class. So it's very competitive, this list, and there were tons of honorable mentions that we'll do toward the end of the video once we've counted down the top 5. So guys, the top 5 champions, we're going to start at number 5, and my number 5 champion is Black Panther. Now, Black Panther is a really fun champion, very fast-paced. He's only really good as a champion that you play. He's not very good Alliance War Defender. However, the Civil War version is a really good Alliance War Defender. So this is kind of more the aggressive version of the Black Panther. Kind of a very glass cannon champion, although he does have a bit more health and survivability than champions like Symbiote, Spider-Man, and Iron Fist. And instead of armor breaks in comparison to Iron Fist, he has a ton of bleeds. So he synergizes very well with the Deep Wounds Mastery, which makes him an absolute monster, and he's just a really fast-paced and fun champion to play. A lot of his passives and also what is it, just stuff that he has is just more and more damage. So you can see damage increases by 5% for each instance of the bleed he has on the target. When he's duped, he's doing even more bleeds as well, 8% chance on attacks to deal a pretty strong bleed. So once you get this champion, maybe as a 4-star, and if you dupe him, crazy good. Even as a 3-star maxed out at the dupe level 24, he's a really great champion. So yeah, just absolutely love him. Special attack too is very powerful. So for each additional hit, swipes 3 times. But each one has an additional 21% chance to crit, so by the time you get to that 3rd one, it's just going to hit so ridiculously hard. And also for each instance of bleed you have on the target at the time of impact, that's for the special 3, there's a 78% chance to inflict another bleed. So the special attack 3 with Black Panther is probably one of the champions where it's actually quite good. Special attack 3s on most champions kind of suck, but on Black Panther it's alright, although I'm not really a fan of waiting for the animations, so I just like using the special 2 in most scenarios, and it is hard-hitting and impactful enough. So that's it, guys. Black Panther, number 5, really strong damage champion, so I really like that one. And then at number 4, we have a bit of a versatile champion. We have Agent Venom. Now, Agent Venom can be used both as a champion that you play, and also as a champion that's really good for Alliance War Defense. So what really makes him good for Alliance War Defense is he has a chance, even unduped, to just shrug off debuffs. So he can just instantly, randomly shrug off stuns and parries, and then just smack the opponent in the face. So that just totally catches a lot of people off guard. And makes him really annoying to fight. So yeah, just a really great option for Alliance War Defense, but when you want to play this champion, he's really good and rewards skilled gameplay. One of the best things about Agent Venom is he doesn't actually need to be duped to be a good champion. However, if he's duped, it adds a little bit more to the champion. So basically, when you start the fight and when you reach 50%, you have 5 stacks of a debuff. Oh, sorry, no, you just have a debuff, and when you're hit 5 times, it expires. But if you're a really good player and you're not getting hit at all, then you don't have to worry about it expiring, and you're going to get a solid increase to your attack and critical damage. Has a really strong level 1. His passive also allows him to bypass a certain amount of enemy evasion, which is alright. It's good, but generally if you're fighting a really difficult Spider-Man, you do want to ideally use a Black Widow or Crossbones, which are much more reliable champions to fight a character like that against. However, it's still good. It's still a little perk to the champion. Makes evade trigger even less, so you certainly cannot complain there. I really like his level 1 attack, does a very strong bleed. What else does he have? Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm just a really big fan of this champion's level 1, and it synergizes very well with the Deep Wounds Mastery. So Agent Venom, guys, he's number 4 on the Skilled Champions list. Now, at number 3, we have a champion that has 2 variants. So I'm talking about Daredevil, but I'm going to go with Classic Daredevil as my number 3 option. So Classic Daredevil is definitely better when he's duped, because he has a much more reliable projectile evade. So when the champion is duped, based on his dupe level, he has up to 100% chance to evade projectile attacks. And projectile attacks are stuff like beams. They're also stuff like Spider-Man's webbing. So it's just a crazy good champion for automatically playing around those abilities and evading them. Also very good for fighting Maestro at the end of Act 4, because his level 1 is really tricky to avoid. But on top of that, Daredevil has a really good stun on his level 1 and 2 attacks. He has really high base block proficiency and quite a decent chance when you're blocking to do a block that reduces all damage. So when you're playing with this champion and blocking, you're really taking like much damage at all, which is really good. Makes him a nice a champion that you can do like a lot of fights with. A good option as an offensive attacker in Alliance War, and obviously, as we mentioned before, he's got a few circumstances outside of that as well. He's also really good for like the unblockable level 1 and level 2 nodes, as most of that stuff that's unblockable, people like to put projectile champions on, because you know, if you're putting champions like Hulk that just have a clap, then the unblockable's a bit wasted because people can just dash back. But it's a really good champion for playing around those nodes. In Alliance War, special attacks as well, gets a nice amount of crit, so just increasing his damage even more. Has good synergies with Black Widow and Elektra to make a solid power gain team, which is a lot of fun to play around with, where you have like a double Daredevil, double Elektra, and Black Widow. Really fun combination there. So Daredevil, he is my number 3, but you know, the classic one does kind of need to be awakened and taken up to a fairly high dupe level to take full advantage of that. Now, number 2 is a personal favorite of mine. A champion that on its own is very good, but if you put him in a crit synergy team, he is godly. And of course, I'm talking about CROSSBONES. CROSSBONES, absolutely ridiculous champion, definitely a sleeper in my opinion. So let's talk about, I guess, what makes this champion great. Let's start off with the synergies. The synergies are so good, double crit rate and also double crit damage. So those are amazing synergies. Those are like, you know, the best you can hope for in any champion. But when you pair him with, what is it? It's double Captain America, Superior Iron Man, and Iron Man, you get a crazy crit team. Now, CROSSBONES actually, as a champion, he can't crit at all, but whenever he's gonna crit, instead of actually, like, dealing the additional damage, he gets a stack of Fury, which increases his attack by 43% for 8.5 seconds. This can be also increased by putting additional mastery points and increased Fury duration. So it's a bit more of a reliable damage ramp up, and when you have a crit team and you're critting on like pretty much every other hit, or like 4 out of 5 hits, your stacks go up to about you know, anywhere between about 10 to 15 I've seen. So it's pretty crazy. The damage goes insane quite quickly, and also for every stack of Fury that you have, it reduces your opponent's defensive ability accuracy by 21%. So if you're on a crit team, if you're playing at a fast pace, you can just break through blocks, you can bypass evade, you can go play around like stuff like heal triggers, like on the Superior Iron Man, Ultron. Play around Electro as well, just totally nuke through that and not take any damage back. So yeah, really crazy champion. I just love the design, love the mechanics of this champion. Also has a little bit of an enrage as well, so you can dash back and hold for 2 seconds to get 3 stacks of Fury, and get a nice start to the fight. But then that has a little bit of a penalty of you losing, power gain for a while, and some of your defensive attributes. ults. But overall, I think that's a pretty cool mechanic to add to the game, and I like seeing more stuff like that. His level 2 has the coolest animation in the game, pumps a shotgun like 3 times. Very, very cool, and also lowers the block proficiency on the enemies, so, you know, you can just keep on breaking through that block. It's crazy cool. And also, if you use the special attack free, it instantly refreshes the cooldown on overrun. However, most of the time when you're playing with this champion, you either want to use special attack 1 spam if you are maybe don't have a crit team low on fury stacks, or you want to use special attack 2 just for the crazy damage and really, really cool animation. So Crossbones is my number 2, but we're going for the number 1 now, guys, which is, of course, the Black Widow. So what makes Black Widow such an insane champion? A lot of people ask this question. Now, it's her passive, mainly. When she's awakened, this champion is absolutely crazy. So Black Widow strikes her targets with subtle, calculated grace, reducing the chance of triggering their abilities by up to 100% based on her dupe level. So abilities are basically, it's like everything that defines a champion. So it's stuff like when you're fighting Spider-Man, for example, his chance to evade completely gets rid of that. When you're fighting Electro, the damage back completely gets rid of that. So she kind of, when you get her to that max dupe level, just turns any champion in just this really, really easy bag of meat that you can just beat the crap out of and not have to worry about any of their abilities. So yeah, really, really crazy champion, but also has some other cool stuff, really solid damage output as well. When she is attacked, has a 3% chance to evade, which is cool, is useful. I can pretty much speak from all of the community. When you're fighting Black Widow, it feels like a lot more than a 3% chance to evade. She just evades a lot more than that most of the time, and it's always at really annoying times. So you can, even if this character's best use, of course, is on Alliance War Attack by far. But if you want her as a defender, maybe you don't have her duped, she's still like an alright option. Actually, she's still pretty good for Alliance War defense, but I think ultimately, 9 out of 10 times, you're probably going to use her for Alliance War attack. On her special attacks as well, she has a 100% chance to boost her critical hit rate by 20% and her critical damage by 185%. This only goes up as you get higher rank and rarity of the champion, so that's really good. And also on a special attack free, it has quite a high chance to stun for 4.25 seconds. So as a defender, this champion is really good. If you pair her with Hulk, that actually goes up to 100% chance to stun for 4.25 seconds. Paired with the, Stupefy Mastery, that increases it to I believe just over 5 seconds. So if you use a level 3, you can get off like 2 rounds of combos, maybe even 3, so it's pretty crazy. Although most of the time, I guess, for optimal damage, you do just want to use that level 2 ability. But if there's ever some sort of like crazy nuke scenario, then the level 3 is where it is at, and it does give you the option there. So yeah, also amazing power gain with Elektra and Daredevil, which isn't featured on this, but that's kind of the ideal setup for this champion. And I think to kind of like get the most out of damage on this champion, if you have the double Daredevil, double Elektra, then you're going to get, I think it's about like 25% additional power gain, and that does feel like a lot when you're actually playing around with the character. Might be a little bit more. I think it's actually 29%. I need to go back and actually check my power gain video that I made on it. But I was playing around with Black Widow with that power gain team, and it was just crazy. We're just constantly chaining on the special attacks, getting more damage and more crit chance, and it was just spiraling out of control. Really, really cool. So yeah, Black Widow, guys, she is my number 1 champion, but obviously we're going to do some honorable mentions now and talk about the other champions and their uses in the game. So let's start off with Elektra. Elektra is really good. She'd probably be, again, like there are so many champions contextually that could be my number 6, but Elektra on a level 1 has kind of a similar thing to Crossbones and Black Widow, where she can bypass the defensive ability accuracy, but that relies on you first getting to a level 1 ability, and then 2 landing either the bleed or armor break. And then you only have that while the opponent is debuffed. So it's alright, but also when you parry as well, you get that benefit. So I think Electra's a really good champion, but I think in comparison to Black Widow and Crossbones, there's less uptime and she's a little bit less reliable. So that's kind of why, you know, she's ranked lower in my opinion, but still a really good champion. Then we also have Hawkeye. Hawkeye's got a really good bleed and power drain on his level 1, very useful for certain events like, what was it, the Mingnar's Cavalry Challenge, amazing for that. Black Panther has armor up buffs and stun reflex, which are crazy good for Alliance War, so really solid Alliance War defense option. Then we have Moon Knight. So Moon Knight really varies. So Moon Knight's like abilities change depending on like the time of the month and the moon cycle, and there's a lot of crazy stuff this champion could do. He's really a fun champion with a lot of depth to him. But kind of the pro of Moon Knight is sometimes he's really good, and sometimes he's like average, depending on the moon cycle. So that's kind of like, I guess the pro and con of that champion really is that he's not always super great, but sometimes he's really good. We need to do a video soon explaining a little bit more about Moon Knight cycles and how those work, because there is a lot to cover in that one. And then we have Karnak. Karnak is a newish champion to the game, only added a few weeks ago. Has really good offensive output, terrible Alliance Wall defender, but he's a hard-hitting champion, pretty good for that. Also has, what is it, reduction in, abilities last, I think it's just poison actually, that lasts significantly less time on him, and he also shrugs off his class disadvantage. So yeah, when he's duped, he shrugs off non-damaging debuff effects faster than normal, and also reduces the damage he takes from poison, so quite good for fighting a champion like Abomination. However, you probably, you know, would ideally want to use a duped Black Widow or Crossbones if you did have one. Then who else do we have on the list? We have Falcon. I do not really rate Falcon too much. I only have him as a 3-star at the moment, but from what I can see on the champion, he's just he's like not really hype at all. You have to like swipe back and hold the screen for a second to get him locked on, which reduces the defensive ability accuracy for a while and allows you to bypass evade, but that has a cooldown, so it's not always up, and it's a little bit more clunky in my opinion than, you know, obviously Black Widow and Crossbones, who kind of like naturally have that bypass of defensive ability accuracy. So yeah, not really that hyped on Falcon. Daredevil Netflix is a bit more of a different version of Daredevil. He has armor breaks, which are useful, so in some scenarios he can do a little bit more damage, but his projectile evade is strictly worse. It's only a 15% chance as opposed to the Daredevil one, which can be 100% chance. So yeah, again, a lot less of a reliable champion, but overall he's not bad. He's not a bad champion, pretty good. Then who else do we have? We have, oh, as well, Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier is not really that hype when he's unduped. When he's duped, he has a power drain. The downside to the power drain, though, is that it is a bit random. However, having a power drain is still definitely useful, like the occasional proc, so he's not too bad when he's duped, he's not too bad, but when he's unduped, he is just as pretty much useless as the Punisher is. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. What makes Punisher so bad is his duped ability is just so terrible, so worthless as a champion that you play, and when you're fighting the champion, yeah, like half the time it doesn't even trigger, and if you use like bleeds and stuff, then it just bypasses it. So just a really bad champion in my opinion. But guys, that is it for my top 5 skill champions and a little bit more about all the champions. So I hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts and perspective on that, guys. If you liked the video, feel free to leave a like. If you are new to the channel and would like to see more awesome Marvel Contest of Champions content, feel free to hit that subscribe button. That'd be greatly appreciated. Apart from that, guys, take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.